joined now by Dr. Josh Klapow, psychologist, University of Alabama, Birmingham. He's on site this morning in Pleasant Grove, Alabama, that's been hard hit. Doctor, thanks for being with us this morning. For so many people, this time becomes so stressful, and especially emotionally. How do people overcome the stress they're dealing with?
Well, the good news is that most of us are, if not all of us, are hardwired to really see this through. And so for the vast majority of people, they're going to be okay. It's going to take some time. But that being said, you know, right now, in the immediate aftermath that we're seeing, people are really walking around having lots of symptoms. It's normal, but it can actually become a safety hazard because people are having a hard time right now concentrating, their nerves are on edge, they're feeling stressed, they're not sleeping well. Things like that make it really difficult to see this thing through.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, is that what you classify it as? And how would you treat somebody that had that?
Well, the first thing is that post-traumatic stress disorder is something that, by definition, happens down the line, at least a few months following this. Right now, what people are experiencing is acute stress reaction, which is, it's normal, but it can be very, very distressing. And so right now, we're really focused on what we call psychological first aid, and that's working with people to help them shore up their coping resources. And it's simple things. It's simple things like making sure they have adequate shelter and food and clothing. It's letting them talk about their experiences without forcing them to talk. And really, one of the most important things is connecting them up with family, friends, community, social support network. Those are critical to helping people bounce back.
Dr. Klapow, in about 20 seconds, what should people tell their kids?
Number one, that parents, you're there to protect them and to help them be safe. You can't control what's happened, but kids need to know that you're going to take care of them and that they're going to be okay. If you do nothing else, that's the most important thing you can do.
Tell them they're going to be okay. All right, Dr. Klapow, we certainly appreciate that.
We're joined again by Dr. Josh Klapow, psychologist with the University of Alabama, Birmingham. He's in Birmingham right now amongst some of the destruction. Dr. Klapow, last we spoke, we were talking about children coping with natural disaster. What's your advice for parents on how to talk to their kids about what happened?
It's extremely difficult, and in part because as parents, you know, we're stressed, we're feeling anxious. And one of the things that I tell parents is it's not so much what you say, but how you say it. Your children are watching you, and they watch your emotions, and so really being able to collect yourself before you talk with your children is important. The other thing that's really important is to let children know that you're going to protect them. You cannot assure that a tornado's not going to hit again, but you can assure them that you're going to do everything you can to keep them safe.
Let's talk about survivor's guilt, because I've got to say, Mike, I don't know if you've ever had this. We go out and cover these storms. I sometimes come home and feel my own survivor's guilt. I haven't even gone through it. I'm just there covering it. How do people cope with that?
Well, and I think your experience is what a lot of people deal with. You know, you witness things, others witness things, they survive, they're grateful on the one hand, and then they look to their left or they look to their right, and their neighbors or their community has been decimated. It's a normal feeling, and one of the things that you have to understand is that survivor's guilt is just a way of your brain and your emotions processing, bouncing back. And so what I tell people is, accept it, let yourself feel that emotion, and know that over time it's going to go away.
Is that the thing? I mean, is it really the saying, time heals all wounds? I mean, is that really the case?
Well, time definitely does heal most wounds, and there are things that we can do to make those wounds heal faster, but for a small number of people, the wounds will not heal. They're going to get infected. And those are the people who really need mental health professionals to intervene. And so what people need to do in the short run is watch themselves. If they're feeling like they're not bouncing back after a few days or a week or two, then it's time to talk with somebody, just as you'd go see a physician to check up on an illness.
That is great advice. Dr. Josh Klapow, thanks for your time this morning.